am Eric Steinhardt, and this is Nietzsche on Transhumanism in the Will to Power. These are just some selections, and this is mainly recorded for my Philosophy 4040 class on Wednesday nights, but we have a snow day. So let's continue. Let's start with WP 101. That's Will to Power, section 1001, where Nietzsche says, not mankind, but overman is the goal. And this tries to show us that, a lot of things he's talking about aren't aimed at the human species, but at some other something, a species, maybe, cyborgs, who knows, whatever it is that comes next. So let's go on to section 993 in The Will to Power. And that one says this, and I quote, "It is a comfort to me to know that above the steam and filth of human lowlands there is a higher, brighter humanity, very small in number, for everything outstanding is by its nature rare. One belongs to it not because one is more talented or more virtuous or more heroic or more loving than the men below, but because one is colder, brighter, more far-seeing, more solitary, because one endures, prefers, demands solitude as happiness, as privilege, indeed as a condition of existence, because one lives among clouds and lightning as among one's own kind, but equally among rays of sunlight, drops of dew, flakes of snow, and everything that necessarily comes from the heights." End of quote. Okay, he's talking about some higher and brighter kind of humanity, something that is above us. And this is a theme based on cleanliness. It's based on things like holiness, right? Nietzsche identifies holiness with cleanliness. And he gives a lot of metaphors here, a lot of mountain metaphors. You're up in the mountains, up in the heights. It's colder, brighter, closer to the sun. There's solitude, endurance. But this is all very metaphorical. It's not really very clear what it means. Let's skip ahead to 1027, where Nietzsche says, quote, "Man is beast and super beast. The higher man is inhuman and superhuman. These belong together." End of quote. Okay, beast and super beast. With every, beast and super beast. What is that? Sort of beyond the animals, kind of a god? And again, this is going beyond humanity. The higher man is inhuman and superhuman, Nietzsche says. So this again is the transhumanist theme. Nietzsche trying to tell us that humanity is not the end, humanity is not the goal. He said the goal is the overman. That was his, the Übermensch in German is sort of his slogan for what comes after humanity. Let's continue with 1027, quote, "With every increase of greatness and height in man, there is also an increase in depth and terribleness. One should not desire the one without the other, or rather, the more radically one desires the one, the more radically one achieves precisely the other." So there's danger here. The increase in depth can go along with an increase in terribleness. All right? Things could go badly wrong. In the very next section, 1028, Nietzsche says, "Terribleness is part of greatness. Let us not deceive ourselves." This connects up with his concept of the Dionysian. And we'll talk more about that in another video. But let's go to 987, skipping around a little bit here. So 987, Nietzsche says, quote, "The most difficult and highest form of man will succeed most rarely." Now he's still talking about humans here. Okay, end of the quote there. He's still talking about humans because humans have to lead to the superhuman, the transhuman, the overhuman. Thus, the history of philosophy reveals a superabundance, well, I'm quoting from him again, "The history of philosophy reveals a superabundance of failures, of accidents, and an extremely slow advance. Whole millennia intervene and overwhelm what has been achieved. The continuity is broken again and again. It is an appalling history, the history of the highest man, the sage." End of quote. All right, so the history of philosophy, a superabundance of failures, accidents, right, errors, things gone horribly wrong. It's an evolutionary process. Progress is not inevitable. And progress does not always go to some sort of good, especially not a utilitarian good. Remember, Nietzsche is not a utilitarian. He says it's an appalling history. Appalling history, right? There's awful things that happen here. And he says that the history of the highest man, right? He refers to the highest man, highest person, highest human, right? Is the sage. That's an old term from Stoicism, from Neoplatonism, from ancient Greek philosophy, right? The sage was the wise person. Now, somebody like Socrates, not merely wise, but capable of action, virtuous, perfectly virtuous person, all the virtues, courage, justice, temperance, wisdom, right? All these virtues united in a single type of person, the sage, an ideal human, a perfect human being. And somehow the sages are going to be part of the bridge, the way to the superhuman, right? Nietzsche says humanity is not an end, it's a bridge. Thanks.